friends, welcome to online biology classes. So this is the third video. So in this video we are going to cover the importance of pollen grain 1. So some vague topics, clear? Before that one, what we covered, just recall and revise one. So briefly in 2 minutes. So sexual reproduction definition, events and location we covered. Flower structure, in that one calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium. Pre-fertilization structure, under that one stamen, microsporangia and pollen grain heading is given in the textbook. So stamen is the individual part of the androecium. It is made up of filament and the anther. When you take the transverse section of anther, it is a roughly tetragonal structure. So this anther is a young anther. It is a bilobed dithecous tetrasporangiate. 4 microsporangia is there. If you take or enlarge any one corner of this pollen grain, means anther one, anther. So that is nothing but the microsporangia. So from outside to inside, the anther wall is made up of epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, tapetum. Functionally, tapetum very important one. Inside to that one, microsporangia is there. So where the microspore mother cells are there. Tapetum function, main one. So it helps in the nourishment of the sporogenous tissue. Second one, it produces the Ubish body that is deposited on the exine layer. Third one, it produces the Calase enzyme which is required for the separation of microspores after microsporogenesis. It also produces the pollen kit which is required for the entomophilous flower. Now, microsporogenesis means the pollen mother cell, which is diploid in nature, undergo meiosis and produce microspore tetrad. This microspore tetrad either tetrahedral, isobilateral, decussate, linear, or the this one T-shaped. Clear? So when Calase enzyme act on the callose, microspores separate. Now these microspores have potential to develop into individual pollen grain. One, that final structure we covered, that is a pollen grain. Pollen grain represent the male gametophyte. So this is either 2 cell or 3 cell, but main point is the pollen wall is made up of 2 layers, outer exine, inner intine. So exine is made up of sporopollenin. So this is the most resistance which can withstand in high temperature, strong acid, strong alkali. Even enzyme also will not digest this sporopollen. That's why pollen grain can be preserved into the microfossils. So this is the immature pollen grain. This is the mature pollen grain. Means after microgametogenesis. So means 2 male gamete and 1 vegetative nucleus is here. This is a mature pollen grain. Now some vague topic means importance of pollen grain. First one, so first we will cover the negative aspects first. Negative aspects means in some human being, means only who are the hypersensitive one, the pollen grain may cause allergies or bronchial affliction, and in chronic, in some case it causes chronic respiratory diseases such as asthma or bronchitis. So in some organisms, so are the hypersensitive. So pollen grains, if it is enter into the respiratory tract, so this will cause allergy, sneezing, running nose, the watery eye. So allergy causes. Bronchial affliction means swelling of the bronchus. So in chronic respiratory disorders such as asthma, clear? So and even bronchitis. So this is a negative aspect. Many species are there. In that one, the Parthenium is the most familiar one. So Parthenium is introduced in India when the wheat is imported from the America. So now this Parthenium is a ubiquitous, means it spread all over the India. So example, Parthenium pollen grain. Clear? So this is a negative aspect. Now positive aspect. Positive aspect means pollen grains are rich sources of nutrients. Clear? So in that they have carbohydrates, proteins, and unsaturated fatty acids. Nowadays, the pollen grains are available. Nowadays, pollen grains are available in the form of tablets and syrups in Western countries. So supplements are available. So in the form of tablets and the syrups one. The consumption of pollen grain enhances the performance of athletes and even race horses. So pollen grain can be used as a nutritive supplements one. So these are rich source of carbohydrate, protein and unsaturated fatty acids. So nowadays tablets and the syrups are available in the Western countries. So the consumption of pollen grain may enhance the performance of the even athletes also and the race horse also. So now one more topic, that is viability of pollen grain. Now, viability means when pollen grains are produced in this anther one at maturity, the sterile tissue which is present between the pollen sac degenerate and it undergo dehydration. Suddenly this pollen grain will rupture. So this is a young anther. Mature anther means, so one more figure is given like this. So this is a ruptured or dehiscence pollen anther one. So through that one pollen grains are releasing. So this is a dehiscence of anther means, so this is a line of dehiscence. From this one pollen grains release one. So when the pollen grains are released within a specific time limit one, they have to land on the stigma. Means viability of pollen grain means it is a period for which or the period during which the pollen grains are viable or the functional. Clear? So after crossing that time limit one, these pollen grains are non-functional or the unviable. Clear? So means they are not functional. So viability of pollen grain means it is a period for which pollen grains are viable or functional. So for example, some examples are given in textbook. Example like the rice and wheat pollen grain viable for only 30 minutes. It means that when the pollen grains of rice or wheat release from the anther one, within 30 minutes they have to deposit on the stigma. Otherwise, after 30 minutes they are not functional. Clear? ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನು 30 ನಿಮಿಷ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಆಂಥರ್ ಇಂದ ಪೋಲನ್ ಗ್ರೇನ್ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ 30 ನಿಮಿಷ ಒಳಗಡೆನೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅದು ಸ್ಟಿಗ್ಮಾ ಮೇಲೆ ಬೆಳೆಯಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಸೊ ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿಸ್ some other example like the family like Rosaceae, Leguminaceae and Solanaceae. The pollen grains of Rosaceae, Leguminaceae, Solanaceae viable for few months. Clear? Now, what are the conditions that will decide the viability of a pollen grain? Means it is highly variable. Means it is not specific. 30 minutes only. So the factor controlling the viability means factor controlling viability is so temperature, the ambient temperature, then humidity and also genetic property of that pollen grain. Means the temperature and humidity and genetic property of that pollen grain will decide the viability period. Clear? So it is a highly variable. So this is a viability pollen grain. Either it is a 2 marks question or the 3 marks question. Now, so how the pollen means the sperms, eggs or even seeds can be preserved into the laboratory for the horticulture or the research purpose one. Pollen grain can be preserved in the laboratory. So how it is possible means, so one more definition, that is cryopreservation. Cryopreservation means for research purpose, if the pollen grains stored at minus 196 degree Celsius in liquid nitrogen, that process is called as cryopreservation. Yes. So first one we covered the negative aspect where the pollen grain will cause the allergy and some disorders one. Positive aspect means pollen grains can be used as a nutritive source one in the form of tablets and syrups. Sometimes it will enhance the performance also. Viability of pollen grain means the period or the time duration during which the pollen grains are viable one, means functional. So after that one, the functionality gradually decreases. They will not germinate. Clear? Rice and wheat pollen grains will viable for 30 minutes. The pollen grains of Rosaceae, Leguminaceae and Solanaceae viable for few months. The factor which control the viability means temperature and humidity and even genetic property of that pollen grain also. Next one, cryopreservation means for the research purpose or in any research institute, pollen grain can be preserved into the laboratory, specifically in the liquid nitrogen at minus 196 degrees Celsius. That process is called the cryopreservation. So these are the main topic one. One more question is there, that is paleontology. Definition is going to. So paleontology means it is a science in which study of pollen grain is carried. So it is a branch of science where the pollen grain structure, its chemical composition, so everything is studied in detail. That branch of science is called as the paleontology. Clear? So this is about the male reproductive part where we covered the stamen, anther, young anther and mature anther, microsporangia, microsporogenesis, pollen grain structure and the importance of pollen grain. Under that one, importance of pollen grain, either it is a negative aspect or positive aspect. Viability of pollen grain is a separate topic. cryopreservation 1 marks question is going to ask, or the paleontology is a 1 mark definition. So this is about the pre-fertilization structure and process. Clear? So the next topic is the pre-fertilization structure related to the female reproductive part. So in which we are going to cover pistil, megasporangium and the embryo sac. So with the short pause. Clear? Yes, student. We will continue next topic only. So the next heading is again the pre-fertilization and structure and events. Under that one we are going to cover pistil, megasporangium or ovule and embryo sac. Clear? So the topic start with the gynoecium. So you take the female means flower. So the female reproductive part. Flower have female reproductive part called as gynoecium. Yes, this gynoecium made up of one or many pistil or carpel. So in first video the flower figure we draw. The calyx is the outermost wall, that is followed by the corolla, then male reproductive part androecium, under that one stamen we covered. The innermost wall is a gynoecium. This is the gynoecium is made up of pistil or the carpel. Clear? So based on the number, many terminologies are there. So if only one carpel is there, it is made up of only one pistil, then it is called the monocarpellary. Only one carpel. Clear? So if it is made up of more than one pistil or more than one carpel, then it is called the polycarpellary. So can you remember the three families what we covered in the first year? So the Solanaceae is a bicarpellary, Fabaceae is a monocarpellary, Liliaceae is a tricarpellary. So based on the number, the gynoecium is either monocarpellary, bicarpellary, tricarpellary, tetracarpellary, pentacarpellary or polycarpellary. Yes, based on the number, the gynoecium is written, means there is a number of carpels. So these carpels either free or the fused. So some figures are there. So later on we will discuss. So first figure is a typical gynoecium of hibiscus. And one more figure given in the textbook, that is the gynoecium of papaver. Somnifera. One more gynoecium is given, that is Michaelia champaka. Now, this is the gynoecium of hibiscus, only gynoecium part. So, when I take the gynoecium, every gynoecium is made up of three parts. This is stigma, and this is style, and the lower portion is called the ovary. Yes, what is the difference means, when you take the hibiscus one, it comes under the Malvaceae family. So if you cut the lady finger, ಬೆಂಡೆಕಾಯಿ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಕೂಡಲೇ the lady finger is a fruit, that is a post fertilization structure. ಬೆಂಡೆಕಾಯಿ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಕೂಡಲೇ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ 5 ಚೇಂಬರ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತದೆ. Clear? If you cut the hibiscus also, if you cut the transverse section of this ovary, you will get the 5 chambers. So that is a 5 carpellary. So when you take the gynoecium of the hibiscus one, so the tip, that is nothing but the stigma, it is a platform which will receive the pollen grain during the pollination. Pollen grain ಬಂದು ಇದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So this is the platform. Pollen grain receive ಮಾಡೋ ಕೆಲಸ ಇದೆ. Clear? So next ಇದರ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Style is a long slender tube-like structure that will extend in between stigma and the ovary. So style ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, that is a tubular structure through which pollen tube passes. Basal region, it is little bit swollen. Clear? So this is a ovary. So collectively ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಫಿಗರ್ ಒಂದೇ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿರೋದು. ಸೊ 5 ಕಾರ್ಪಲ್ ಇದೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೇರಿಸಿ ಒಂದೇ ಕಾರ್ಪಲ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ದ gynoecium is made up of more than one pistil and if they are joined one, then that gynoecium is called the syncarpus. Means ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಾರ್ಪಲ್ ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಒಂದೇ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. So this is also syncarpus. When you take the gynoecium of the papaver, so this is a hibiscus. This is the gynoecium of papaver. This is the gynoecium of Michaelia champaka. Clear? Papaver somnifera alli gynoecium ella fused agi ಒಂದೇ structure ಇದೆ. So the gynoecium hibiscus is syncarpus. Papaver also syncarpus. So Michaelia alli it is apocarpus. So what is syncarpus, apocarpus, we are going to write here. Clear? So based on the number, monocarpellary, bicarpellary, tricarpellary or the polycarpellary with it. So if pistils are free, then it is called as apocarpus. Clear? If pistils are fused, then it is called as syncarpus. Yes, two terms are there, apocarpus and syncarpus. First year ದಲ್ಲಿ ಫ್ಲೋರಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಬರೀತೀವಿ, ನೀವು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಜಿ ಅಂತ ಬರೀತಿದ್ರಿ. ಜಿ ಬರೆದು ಅದರ ಕೆಳಗೆ ನಂಬರ್ ಬರೀತಿದ್ರಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಕೆಟ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಿದ್ವಿ. ಇಫ್ ದ gynoecium ಮೇಡ್ ಅಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ ಒನ್ ಕಾರ್ಪಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಕಾರ್ಪಲ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಒನ್, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಕೆಟ್ ಹಾಕೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಪೋಕಾರ್ಪಸ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್. Syncarpus means G ಬರೆದು ಕೆಳಗೆ ನಂಬರ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಕೆಟ್ ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಿ, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ syncarpus condition. So this is a brief introduction of gynoecium which is made up of carpel. So either it is a monocarpellary or it is a polycarpellary, either it is apocarpus or the syncarpus. Yes. So now reproduction ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So now straight away we will cut the transverse section of this ovary. What is present in this ovary we are going to study. So here chamber is present. The inside this ovary one cavity is present, that is called the ovarian cavity or the locule chamber. Clear? So suppose if you take the transverse section of ovary of this hibiscus one, you know 5 chamber ಕಾಣಿಸುತ್ತೆ due to presence of septa. Clear? So first year ದಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಹೆಡ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ, that is a placentation. Can you remember? So placentation means if you take the transverse section of ovary, so in that one ovules are there. Placentation means it is a pattern of arrangement of ovules in a ovary. Clear? So first year the placentation ನಲ್ಲಿ marginal placentation, axile placentation, free central placentation, then parietal placentation, basal placentation ಅಂತ 5 placentation definition ಬಂದಿದೆ, types ನೋಡಿ. So inside this ovary ovules are present. Now whatever the heading we have written, first one is a pistil. This is a gynoecium which is made up of pistil. Clear? Pistil ಬಗ್ಗೆ description alike. Second one is a megasporangium, that is nothing but the ovule. Yes, the next heading is covered. Megasporangium is present inside this ovule. So when you take the transverse section of ovary, ovules are present. So ovule means figure I will draw and description I will give. So next heading is megasporangium or ovule. Male reproductive part ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೇ ಹೆಡ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಮೈಕ್ರೋಸ್ಪೊರಾಂಜಿಯಂ. ಎಸ್, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಗಾಸ್ಪೊರಾಂಜಿಯಂ. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಟೇಕ್ ದ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಓವರಿ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ನೀವು ಪ್ಲಾಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಪ್ಲಾಸೆಂಟಾ. ಆನ್ ದಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾಸೆಂಟಾ ಓವಲ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಡ್. ಎಸ್, ಇದಾಗಿತ್ತು. If only one cavity is present, clear, then it is called the monolocular. One day chamber there, clear. If the septa is present in between this placenta and the ovary wall, in more chamber aagutide, now three cavities are produced. More chamber. This is a trilocular. Suppose ಮತ್ತೆ add ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ it is a pentalocular. Clear. So ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ cavity ಇದೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ the ovule is attached to the placenta. Clear? So figure I will draw, then I will give the explanation. So the figure is a very important one. Carry 5 marks. So ನೀವು ಹೇಗೋ ತೆಗಿಬೋದು, ಇನ್ವರ್ಟೆಡ್ ತೆಗಿಬೋದು, ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ಆಗಿ ತೆಗಿಬೋದು. ಸೊ the proper figure drawn. So this is the simple figure of anatropous ovule. ಈಗ anatropous ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ovule ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, everything we are going to cover, but this is a very important figure from the exam point of view. Figure you ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು, easy. Just try to rewind that video and see how I draw. So color differentiate ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. So this is the ovule. Now with the labels we will discuss. So this ovule inside this ovary, simplified, actually hibiscus ovule ಹಿಂಗಿರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ. If you take the sunflower basal presentation ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಈ type simplified nothing. Clear? Now this megasporangium or ovule present inside this ovary, which is attached to the placenta. Clear? So this is the placenta. ಈ ಕಡೆ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ placenta ಅಂತ ನೋಡ್ರಿ. So this part is called as the finicle. This ovule is attached to the placenta with the help of stalk-like structure that is called the finicle. ಇದರ ಸಹಾಯದಿಂದನೇ ಈ ಓವ್ಯೂಲ್ ಅಥವಾ ಮೆಗಾಸ್ಪೊರಾಂಜಿಯಂ ಪ್ಲಸೆಂಟಾಗೆ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಫಿನಿಕಲ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ದಿ ಹೈಲಮ್. ಈ ಹೈಲಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಜಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ದ ಬಾಡಿ ಆಫ್ ಓವ್ಯೂಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದ ಫಿನಿಕಲ್. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದ ಫಿನಿಕಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಟು ದ ಬಾಡಿ ಆಫ್ ದ ಓವ್ಯೂಲ್ ಅಟ್ ದ ಸೈಟ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಹೈಲಮ್. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಜಂಕ್ಷನ್. ಎರಡರ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವುದು ಇದು. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? So this is the body of the ovule. Yeah. For convenience, the ovule has a two pole. So this is chalazal end. E to the now chalazal end anteve. and this end is called as a micropylar end. This end is called the chalazal end, and this another end is called the micropylar end. Clear? The megasporangium ovule is integumented. Integumented ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇದರ ಮೇಲೆ 2-3 ಲೇಯರ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. So either 1 or 2 or 3 integuments are there. So this is outer integument, this is inner. This is outer and this is a inner integument. The ovule or the megasporangium is covered by the either 1 or the 2 integument completely except one point where the integument is not covered. So here integument is absent. The integument ella kade ide ee layer. Here the region where the integument is absent, that region is called as a micropyle. Yes. Now if only one integument is there, then it is a unitegmic. If 2 integuments are there, then it is a bitegmic. More integument iddantere, that is a tritegmic. Clear? Once again, with the help of the funicle, megasporangium is attached to the placenta. Clear? The funicle will attach to the body of the ovule at the site called the hilum. So ovule has a 2 poles. One end is called the chalazal end, another end is called the micropylar end. The ovule is an integumented one. So that in the megasporangium or the ovule covered with either 1 or 2 or 3, sometimes integument is absent. The integument will cover the ovule completely except one point. That point is called the micropylar. Clear? That end is called the micropylar end, and the opposite end is called the chalazal end. Means all the integument originate from the chalazal end and cover up to the micropylar end. Illintra hutti ee integument cover agutte. Clear? And just below the integument, this thick layer, this is called nucellus. Igen madhula in region idella. So this region is called the nucellus. So nucellus will act as a nourishing tissue. Means this will provide the nourishment for the developing megasporangium. Clear? Means embryo cell. So nucellus almost similar to the tapetum, what we covered in the anther one. So tapetum nourishment kodtittu, nucellus nourishment kodutte. So this is a nucellus. It has a made up of large cell with the dense cytoplasma and the large nucleus one. This will provide the nourishment for the megasporogenesis, which will take place inside. Now inside the nucellus, some of the nucellus differentiate, and that will develop into embryo sac. This is the embryo sac. In detailed cellular structure we are not covered. Clear? So this is the embryo sac. So when you see the heading one, first one is a pistil, second one is a megasporangium. This is the megasporangium. Embryo sac is present inside this ovule. ಈಗ ನಾ ಹೇಳುತ್ತಿಗಲ್ಲಿ this is anatropous ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. Clear? It is a type of ovule. Ana means the type of ovule we will discuss. We will cover afterwards. One orthotropous, anatropous, campylotropous, sarcinotropous, hemitropous, amphitropous. Many types of ovules are there, but most familiar is the anatropous ovule. Anatropous ovule ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ micropyle funicle semi ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ, ತಿರುಗಿ ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. Clear? So we will discuss the type of ovules in next video only. So this is a typical ovule. So briefly description ಬರ್ತೀವಿ. This is a integumented ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ indehiscent megasporangia. Try to differentiate. Clear? Microsporangia ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಮೇಲ್ ರಿಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಲೇಯರ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಇಂಟಿಗ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. clear. ಅದರ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಆಂಥರ್ ವಾಲ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಆಂಥರ್ ವಾಲ್ is made up of 4 layers, clear. So this megasporangia has a envelopes. Due to presence of this integument, it is an integumented structure, either unitegmic, bitegmic, tritegmic. Indehiscent means when you take the male reproductive part, microsporangially microsporogenesis ಆಗಿ pollen sac ಆಗಿ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. pollen sac rupture ಆಗಿ pollen grain ಹೊರಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. But here that phenomena is absent. The anther undergo dehiscence and pollen grains are released one. ಇಲ್ಲಿ dehiscence ಅಂತ ಏನಾಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. The embryo sac will remain inside this megasporangium only. ಇದು ಹೊರಗೆ ಬರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. Indehiscent megasporangium. So this is the anatropous ovule or the megasporangium. Textbook ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಫಿಗರ್ ತಿರುಗಿಸ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Means chalazal end is present toward the lower side and micropellar end is present toward the upper side. Clear? Figure ತೆಗಿತಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ cautious ಆಗಿ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಯ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ತೆಗಿಲೇಬೇಕು. Clear? So now next topic is the embryo sac. Before that one, how the embryo sac development take place, megasporogenesis ಅಂತ ಓದಬೇಕು, ಅದರ ನಂತರ embryo sac ಅಂತ ಓದಬೇಕು. So this is about the pistil, megasporangium. Embryo sac topic we will cover in the next video. Till then, just read properly, do your duty little more, and have a nice day.